Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday, everybody. We have one piece of actual work followed by 1,000 pieces of fake work. Hey, Kevin. So the actual work is that we have a bit of an unusable item or building in the game, or buildings, I guess. Morning haircut, looking snazzy. Thanks. Yeah, I got a haircut yesterday. It was about time. And actually, okay, so I was just telling Kevin this yesterday, but I went yesterday. I had an appointment for 2 p.m. and the person who was going to be cutting my hair saw like two people ahead of me. And okay, whatever, that was fine. It didn't actually take that long. But what made me eventually leave one of the hair places I went to before is that I showed up before they opened and still had to wait an hour to get in. And I was like, all right, that's where I draw the line. Like, if I show up as soon as you possibly can and still can't make it in and they don't have appointments or something. So, yeah, anyway, it's all fine. I imagine it's just busier around the holidays, as I was theorizing yesterday. Hey, Krasner. Hey, Shaky. So, yeah, we have one task at first, which is the fix the key grinder. And I'll show what this is, what the problem is, at least. I think a lot of people who are here at the first minute of the stream probably know what the key grinder is in the game. But yeah, this and this. Okay, so we save the game like that. Now, when you get an armor item, which I should probably also save like that. Okay, good. So now when you drag this up to here, you can see it's actually highlighting this thing over here. So when I let go, it drops it onto that. That's a problem. You have no way of accessing this machine directly. You should be able to drop something onto here, but it just doesn't work. So yeah, we got it. Well, actually, I guess it works some of the time, but we got to have it consistently work. Hey, Phil. So I don't actually know how to do this. I don't know if we need to change the scene hierarchy or what. And I kind of want to try with that, but I guess first we should look up how this is all handled. So this is an item drop zone. Both of them are. And they're clickable areas, which are area 2Ds. And area 2D handles this with what? Input. All right, so what's the order of input events? Godot input event order. I think they mentioned how this works. Hey, Atomic Man. Hey, Tomo. Yeah, so it's this thing. We're looking at input or maybe GUI event. I'm not totally sure. Try feeding into the GUI. No, it's not a GUI thing. It's an area 2D. No. So this is physics picking? I think it is. I think it's physics picking. If I look at this, this should have physics picking turn on. Yeah, pickable. Yeah. This is physics picking. But it's only for specific viewports, but I think these things are in the same viewport. So what order? When sending events to its child and descendant nodes, the viewport will do so as depicted in the following graphic in a reverse depth first order, starting with the node at the bottom of the scene tree. Yeah, so all we need to do is put it lower in the scene tree, I think. I think we just need this to be lower in the scene tree than the armor shop. So that's not the case right now? Because that seems a little funny. There's buildings. I guess it's just whatever order the buildings are in. No, then there's shops. Oh, so shops shows up after buildings. So if we just move this here, that fixes the problem. I mean, it might cause another problem, but let's try this. Yeah, the localization should probably start after I'm done with this task. Does Y sorting affect this too? It shouldn't, according to the documentation. And if it did, then we'd see a different behavior, I think. Okay, so now I can drop that there and I can drag this. Yeah, so now this is working the way I would expect. Although it does highlight this first. We probably need to change that. Yeah. So, okay, that was easy to fix. Now we just need to change the highlighted object. I don't know how we do that one. I think town has like get all item destinations, and this is probably just in the wrong order. We just put the key grinder before the shop stuff. Where's the shop stuff? Shops are here. We select all the shops things and then concat all these other things. I want to do it the other way around. Also, I wonder what's more performant, doing this or just doing a whole bunch of like dot dot splat things. I don't know. And I need to like write a little test bed thing for that. So I think the way we would need to do this is something like this. These are already, yeah, so I think we just put key grinder dot concat with shops dot select many, and then don't concat the key grinder again. And put it like that. Yeah, I think that'll work. Note, whatever is first will be highlighted first. So if two things are overlapping, pick the more specific thing. The key grinder is inside the armor shops boundaries. So it comes before the shops in the list. Yeah, it's not great. But if this works, I'm not going to put any extra effort into this. We're just going to make sure nothing goes wrong with the shops. Is there a tiny bit of green screen show? I guess like actual room. There we go. All right, so start the game again. And now when we drag an armor item over here, no, it's still not working. At least we're able to drop this where it should be. But I'm not sure why it's highlighting the wrong thing. It was, so the order of this must not matter. Does it just pick a random thing? What's going on here? We have player held item, all item destinations. We get all the valid destinations. Oh, it's in a hash set. Is closest? Wait a second, what? It's basing it on the closest one? So it's not considered to be the closest? Where do we even set this? Hover drop zone. Oh, there's two drop zones. Probably because we entered this drop zone first in order to get to the other one. And there can only be one of these. This is not going to be fun to do. I don't know if it's worth even fixing this. Yeah, our problem is that we only consider ourselves to be hovering over one drop zone. What is this one? Only unset these if the drop zone is the one we're currently hovering over. As you may run into a situation where one drop zone's mouse enter is called before another one. It's exited. And what do we use this for? Just to get the closest drop location? That seems like it's it. Yeah, that is it. And we do this on the hovered drop zone. Why don't we just do this on all of the possible item destinations? Hey, Nerve Opponents, and hey, Flare. Can you overlap drop zones? Yeah, and that's what's happening here. So we have an invisible rectangle here, and we have a larger one for the whole armor shop. So the two overlap, and yeah, our logic just doesn't handle that. But the only reason we do this is to get what the closest drop location is. And these need to be drop zones for us to know that. Maybe we should just keep track of if there are many of these. The thing is, it probably doesn't know that you're hovering over many at once. Yeah, I'm not sure what the better logic is for this. Problem is that we only track one drop zone that you're hovering over, and they can overlap. So we probably should keep track of all of the drop zones that you're hovering over. No, but that's not really what we want to do. We actually just want the one that is later in the list or lower in the scene tree. List of drop zones and order them for priority. Yeah, essentially that. So here's the other problem with this. This is kind of difficult to figure out. So let's make a new picture here. Give me a sec. Wow. Sometimes I don't know why I use GIMP. Okay, so here's a picture, and I'm going to just draw some things really quickly here. So we have like the armor shop. So this is armor. And then in a different color, we have the key grinder here. So the problem is when the mouse enters, it always will have to enter the armor one first. And then this is considered what you're hovering over is the red area. So then once you get to the blue area, we need to know that you've switched. Okay, sure, Flare. Yeah. And again, I can't promise that I can do it this weekend necessarily, but hopefully I can carve out some time and take a look and write some things down. But yeah, sounds cool. So what do I want to do for this? This has some like, yeah, on mouse entered and on mouse exited. Okay, cool. Yeah, and thanks, Flare. I just don't want to work on this. I don't think this is super important. But I don't even know how we would fix this if I wanted to fix this. We would need mouse enter to be triggered when you hover over this thing. And I don't think that's happening. Do these have names? No, it's always just clickable area. And what does the shop have as far as its clickable area? I don't even know where this happens. Hover drop zone. On drop zone hover change. Where's this called? The town keeps track of this? Oh, man. Okay, so item drop zones have a hover changed. What does this? Mouse entered on... Okay, it's a clickable area. Yeah, so it's all clickable areas. Item drop zone. So in this case, it's the parent that we want the name of. And in this case, I guess the parent will also work. No, wait, there are two drop zones. No, there's only one drop zone. What am I talking about? Where is that? Is it this? No. Unless key grinder has something special in it. How does it have a drop zone? It doesn't? Is that the problem? Oh my god. Hey, game devable. So entering drop zone adds it to the drop zone list, and on leave you pop. Well, I think what I'm coming to the conclusion of is that one of these things isn't even a drop zone. But possibly it is. It's a destination. Does it have a drop zone? I don't think it does. Huh. So that means that a shop... Yeah, a shop implements an interface that the other one doesn't implement. If that's the only problem, then this probably isn't that hard to solve. Yeah. Hey, Mohit Kumar. Welcome back. I responded to your comment about Vim on YouTube. I mean, I also have a quick little... It doesn't really matter, but... Yeah, I try to have commands for this stuff too. I wrote a little bit more on the YouTube comment. Yeah, this. I've used Vim in the past. I've always thought about, like, should I just try it again just kind of for fun? Or NeoVim or something. But it's just not a high priority for me, that's all. Hey, life's faded. I want to lock in for 6 hours of pain. Well, maybe. I don't think this is such a big problem that if it turned out to be a 6-hour problem, it's worth solving. Or sorry, I don't think it's such a high priority. So we have a problem, definitely. If it turns out to be 6 hours to solve, we'll probably just skip it completely. If it turns out to be 30 minutes, then yeah, we'll probably solve it. So I still want to look into this. I think all we have to do is make the item machine into a drop zone. And even then, I think this is only important specifically for the key grinder, but we might as well do it on all of this. I think your normal navigation is awesome, so I don't think there's a need for Vim. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what it comes down to. Like, tooling is there to serve a purpose. If somehow you, I don't know, had like superhuman strength and you had iron skin, you might not need a hammer because you could just use your hand and pound a nail into place. But for everyone else, you get a hammer and it serves its purpose. And then do you need like an automated way of doing it? No, probably not. It's like, hey, how often do you hammer a nail? Especially nowadays, unless you're woodworking or something. So I think it's the same thing for coding. It's like your tooling that you're using is probably some kind of IDE or editor, maybe like linters, maybe compilers, etc., some kind of CI/CD machine. And with any of these things, you need to ask what purpose is this supposed to serve and what is it actually doing in reality. So in my mind, the IDE and editor is meant to let me code. And I do actually have some problems with VS Code, with C# in particular. And my main, like, number one problem is that I have to reload it all the time for some reason, and I don't know why. And that is potentially a reason to switch to something else. I don't know if I were to use something like Vim in C#, what my tooling would even be to support the C# part of things. Presumably there's something out there. Would it work better? Maybe. Would it not? I don't know. Use one-shot feature like you did, and I use fewer keys to do all this stuff. Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah, for what it's worth, I do have one-shot mods, but I still enter layers for most of them. So it's still the same number of key presses. Yeah. Hey, Marsky. Use Z. Yeah, like I said, I don't have a reason to use another editor, really. Like, it's just this problem, and I reload, and I'm kind of done. But I guess what I was trying to get at is an editor is more than just like that one problem. There's also the actual typing of it, the finding code aspect, the navigating between tabs or whatever you end up using for windowing, and a whole bunch of other things. And like everything else is going fine in VS Code. Yeah, also make some layers. Yeah, sounds good. What's the problem? Is the on-mouse enter not triggering at all for the inner area? The problem is we track which drop zone you hovered over, and then we only highlight things from that drop zone. Compound that with the key grinder apparently isn't a drop zone, so you can't hover over that. And just to show you the visual of this problem, although I think I already know how to solve it, and I'm going to try to do that in just a second, but the visual of this is very apparent, which is you try dragging an armor over here, and when I try dragging it to the shop, watch what happens. Like, it highlights the stand it's going to drop it on, so the thing in blue is where I'm closest to. So if I drag to this corner, it's highlighting this one blue because it's closest there. But if I drag to this corner, it's on the left. Problem is when I drag over the key grinder, it actually will drop it in the key grinder, but it's still highlighting this thing down here. So when I let go, it's putting it in the key grinder, but it doesn't look like it's going to do that. Whereas if I got the farm and I try dragging a potion, you can see as I get closer, this is getting highlighted blue, indicating it's going to drop it there. Which actually, how is that happening then? Maybe there's something else I don't understand here. Item machine is a destination, but what, is extractor a drop zone? No, it's not. So somehow this knows how to highlight it. I don't know how that's happening. Maybe I have two different pieces of logic here. One for a drop zone and one for not a drop zone. I haven't looked at this code in a long time. Is closest drop location. Closest drop location though is only for wait, yeah, what? It's only for drop zones. I don't get it. How is this highlighting then for the item extractor? I'll put a breakpoint there in a second. There, X. I've tried JetBrains, yeah. Okay, so my reason for not using Rider or not trying Rider is purely that it costs money, and I think the company would be willing to probably like give me an IDE key for free. I just haven't reached out. Years ago, I reached out about, I forgot what they call their Rust version. But anyway, I reached out about that, and they're like, yeah, sure, we can give you a key. I could just respond to that email and be like, hey, can I have one for the C# version? And they'd probably say yes. I just haven't done that. And at one point I thought about doing it, and I'm like, I don't really like how this sounds. I just stuck with VS Code. But it might actually make my workflow smoother or better in some way. Suggest some stack on which I can move forward. I don't really think of development as working this way in kind of any realm. Like, I know these pieces of technology, so now which tech should I learn? I think it's more like, I know this tech, so which project should I make? Because if you want to learn something, I don't think I should be the one to pick what you should learn. And I think at some point, like, I think there's got to be a balance between learning and doing. unless you're in research, maybe, where maybe they're one and the same, like your learning is doing. But yeah, otherwise it's like, you know, you could go learn every programming language in the world, but to what end if you're never going to actually make a project in any of them? And if it's interest or fun, then like I said, by all means go do that. But if you're like, okay, well now I know this web dev stuff, well now probably do some web dev and see how you feel. One of the trends like Golang, Web3, etc. So the trends, I'd say, I always kind of look at the Stack Overflow dev survey for this because I trust this data over my own kind of gut. Yeah, so here was the 2025. When was this done? Is there a date on here? I don't know when this was done exactly, but it's the 2025 survey. And yeah, I don't know if they do it later in the year or earlier in the year. But so if you, I'll link you to this page. This is like what's most popular, what's highest paying, what people are using, blah, blah, blah. You can click any of these things and take a look at a whole bunch of stats. So this admired and desired. If we look at just the desired thing, further to the right means it's more desirable. And I'm in dark mode, so it's kind of hard to read, but like Python is number one on the list. SQL is next, then HTML and CSS, so on and so forth. So like, look at this sort of thing. Look at what operating systems, look at any of these tables and just see, do I know that? Should I know that? Do I want to know that? Those sorts of things. Hey, empty code. Hey, dead walking. Python is one. Python is one by both metrics, I think. Where did that go? No, it's not by both metrics. So desired is highest, but then admired is not the highest. Rust is the most admired, followed by, what is this? Gleam. Followed by Elixir. Yeah, I could just change the colors on this and it'll actually be visible now. Yeah, and again, this is based on 31,000 responses, about 32,000 responses. So it's not like this is definitive. It's not like they somehow ask every developer in the world, or that even if they had, that this means anything. These are just people's opinions for this. At least I think so. I think some of these are probably factual. Like, are you using this thing? At least then you can trust that, well, hopefully people aren't lying. But yeah, over the course of 30,000 people, even if you had like 10% liars, it's probably still pretty accurate. Anyway, yeah, so I want to see what happens when I do this. Whoa, that is super loud. Windy, thank you for the raid. I like the work that you were doing. It looked pretty cool. Yeah, today is probably going to be a pretty chill day. I am testing something right now that's kind of minor. I'm trying to figure out, how am I doing this? How am I highlighting this thing that you're close to when you drag this over here? Oh, now it's not even working. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, so when you drag this near here, it highlights this. It should be easy to find. Hey, hey, Corpsey. Be interesting to see it broken down by years of experience. Yeah, I don't know if they do that. I was going to say they do have a dev survey going back at least a few years. I don't know when they started doing this. Now, granted, that doesn't tell you years of experience, but it does tell you how these trends are changing over time. So if you went back 10 years, I think there's a dev survey from then. But anyway, closest to when you'd probably see like Ruby is more desirable back then. And it's dropped off, and you could actually kind of see it dropping off. So if you're a student in school right now, I think those dev surveys are pretty good to just figure out, like, how is tech trending in the eyes of a bunch of other developers? Is web dev important in this AI era? The way I look at web dev is it's just a domain. Just like game dev, just like embedded dev, just like any other kind of development. They're all domains. Will websites be important in the future? I think yes. Will games be important in the future? Again, I think yes. So I don't think you can answer no to any of these forms of development. I think maybe the real question is sort of like, will AI still let there be jobs in those areas? And I don't think anyone can fully answer this. So for that, I'd say it's probably not going to drastically change how you study things. Like if you're in your third year of school, learning web dev only to have it get stomped out 2 years from now will not be a waste of time. You'll still know web dev. You'll still know how to learn web dev. You'll still be able to transfer those skills to something else. So I wouldn't really focus on that too much. The things I would maybe focus on are, if you are concerned about jobs, is to just, again, look at the trends in jobs and maybe look up people's testimonials of how have the employees around them changed. So as an example, if you are I don't know, like an ad copy writer or something like that, I imagine a lot of these jobs now no longer exist because probably a lot of companies are using AI to just write their own copy. So now they don't hire someone to do that. And like this job is probably on the decline. So yeah, you need to look into that sort of thing if that's what you're concerned with. Hey, Abis. Welcome in. And yeah, howdy, Wendy. AI basically hit a ceiling, not going to replace engineers. It's a fantastic tool in the hands of engineers. The way I've kind of always said this is AI doesn't have to get any better for there to be fewer jobs in a given industry. And if we look at engineers, like if I've said this a bunch of times before, but if each coder gets like 1% more efficient, and by the way, the 1% more efficient could be perceived efficiency, then the company will hire fewer people. And I think it's as simple as that. It's like, did you replace any job? No, not really. It's like if everyone just got an extra 10, 20 minutes of work out of their work week, then at some point the company's going to be like, well, let's not hire a new person now. And that is generally the trend that I think we've seen across bigger tech companies. So yeah, I don't think it needs to replace people for people to not get hired. I know that sounds kind of weird. If you were in your bachelor's program, what skills should you have learned by the time you finished your final year? So I know this might sound kind of silly, but I think it's like learning how to learn. Tech will always change. Your job will probably change. Not many people have one job their entire career. So can you adapt to what you're doing? Do you know how to find this knowledge yourself? Are you leaning too heavily on other people or on AI? What concrete skills does that boil down to? I mean, I think some amount of coding, some amount of soft skills, like can you communicate with your team members? Do you work well with team members? Like debugging, which I kind of think of as just part of coding, design again, which is sort of like part of the whole software engineering process. And then whatever you want in the domain you're going to work in. If you're going to do game dev, then probably some of the ancillary skills, maybe art or music or 3D modeling or something. But yeah, you know your own wants and desires more than I do. So you'd be able to answer that stuff. Hey, ABG. Hey, Sarah. If AI did not exist in the way that it does today, there could still be fewer jobs in any given industry due to blow cutting. There could be, yeah. But I think there's a much more mindful, like, we are going to try to push AI. And I've heard as much from people who are working in the industry around me. Yeah, more productivity doesn't mean more leisure for workers. And it never really has. Maybe in small groups. Hey, Kaibutsi, welcome back. To reinforce the different domains aspect, quite amusing that web devs get a bad rep for not knowing what a pointer is, which is quite true. But have you seen a low-level dev trying to do some CSS? Yeah, I think this is like, don't judge a fish by its ability to climb. Everyone has what they're good at. And if you specialize in a particular domain, you're going to get really good at that domain. I have a friend of mine who's in this situation right now. They're an embedded dev, and they're trying to get a site set up with like a database of users, account sign-ins, and some API calls. And this developer friend is capable. They could learn this stuff, but they've never done this. This is not part of embedded dev. This is part of a different aspect of their company if they even have that. So they're trying to figure this out. And one of the things that they're overwhelmed by is the number of choices you have. If this is your only goal, if I just said, you know, job posting, I want a site set up with a database of users, account sign-ins, and API calls. So like they make this job posting and they get something like 12 different software stacks. And if you don't know these software stacks, how do you know how to evaluate these? It's like you can do a little bit of research maybe, but you haven't used them. You don't know what it's going to be like a year from now. Maybe some of this is hype driven. So yeah, I think in general, it's don't judge people too harshly. Got a dash. Have an awesome stream. Take care, Wendy. Thank you for the raid. Hope you have a good rest of your day. And Finn is a fish. Okay, good. That's important information. Hey, Cruddlefish. Speaking of fish, there's Cruddle. Currently employed as a backend Go engineer, but I'm building out a workflow pipeline with N8N. Totally out of my element. Makes me feel like a junior guy. Yeah, and it's kind of funny how little it takes to rattle that foundation. Like I've used Blender before, but not extensively. And it's like, okay, I've used a bunch of different programs that are sort of adjacent or similar. And then you throw me into this and it's like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And yeah, It's a bit daunting sometimes. Where am I from? I've only really shared the country I'm from, which is the US. So yeah, I'm from the US, live in the US. I just haven't shared what state I'm from. Okay, so if I put a breakpoint on the highlight that happens here, we have closest drop location. Is this ever set to something? I want a breakpoint here and edit this to say is closest. There. Now I just pick up an item. Oh, it's going to highlight the warehouse though, won't it? Unless I do this maybe. I need to right click enough times to fill this and then drag. Yeah, it's super laggy. I think it got hit. So is the destination a... Is there a way to say the name of this? No, I gotta cast this to a node, and even then I'm not sure. Yeah, nice, it's the extractor. Okay, so how did this get set? Where does this happen? Because obviously it can get set. And the only way that I see this getting set... Oh wait, is this public? No, it's private. Yeah, so the only two places it gets set is through a drop zone. But there is no hovered drop zone. So that means I'm wrong. There has to be one. So I guess we just set a breakpoint here. And then delete the conditional breakpoint I put up there. And then hit the play button. And then click a thing. Wow, would you look at that? Hovered drop zone does exist. What is this? I'm so confused. How, the extractor isn't even a... Huh. How is it possible? I'm about to discover something that should have been obvious about 10 minutes ago, I think. Chef slime. Oh, okay. That's the obvious thing now. All right. I understand. Yeah. So this was a very, very special scenario. Let me show what's going on here. I need to turn this off and go over to here. Yeah. So in this particular case, what's happening is this machine is not a drop zone, but the chef slime is. So what you're actually doing is dragging a potion to the slime, and it's highlighting the extractor because so many players try putting potions here when this is not the target that I was like, well, let's just move it to the target. So that's what's happening. And that's why this isn't the problem over here, but it is over here because this doesn't have a drop zone. So I think we just need to make a drop zone for this. Again, this comes back to my same conclusion from earlier. Sorry, let me read chat again here. I'm from India. I figured from the name. I'm into web development, but sometimes I wonder if it even has a future. After listening to you, I get a bit anxious and started thinking about what I'm doing is actually worth it. I, like I said, can't say what the future is going to hold with respect to AI. If AI wasn't around, I think web development would certainly have a future. As in, you could be a software dev now learning specifically web development and it would be fine. And I don't think it's going to get stomped out in like a year or two. And depending on what you mean as web development, there's still going to be lots and lots of jobs in it. So as an example, if you work for AWS, like Amazon, it's kind of sort of web development. You're making cloud software. They have to have a front end for this stuff. They're probably not fully relying on AI. So yeah, I would just, like I said, I would just make sure that whatever you're learning, you have the ability to still learn so that if, let's say you go into any kind of development, you go into X development and it turns out Y development wins out, that hopefully you have a path from X to Y. That's it. And by the way, this is what everyone's going to be in. If your job is, you're just talking about X job and the job gets snuffed out, then you're going to need to switch to Y job or get some way to make money. And this path is not trivial depending on what you went into. Like going from, I don't know, law into medicine or something like that. Sure, there are a bunch of lawyers who've gone on to become doctors, but it's not like the skills are super transferable. But at least the amount of studying probably is. Personally feel like part of what makes me enjoy software engineering long-term is that there are such different domains available. Opportunity to move into and learn a new domain while still having a decent starting spot feels much more common than in many other fields. Yeah, I like that too. I do like bouncing around within development. And it's kind of funny. I think game dev encompasses practically all the parts of development that you could do. There are websites for games. There are backends for games, or well, some games. I mean, multiplayer games usually. There are the front ends, which are the actual games themselves. Then there's the game specific stuff that you probably wouldn't do in any other kind of development, like making gameplay. Feel like you have a very neutral accent. I've tried to get rid of the more distinct sounds that I might make, which I think still sneak out in a couple of words. Important to learn fundamentals that are agnostic. Yeah, I agree with that. And that's what I mean when I say learning how to learn. It's a couple of things. One is it's just sticking to something, not taking the easy way out. Like, if you have any task, you could either learn the task and then do it, or you could just do it. And nowadays it's easier with AI or delegating to somebody else. You could always do. I want to know about the SDE. Is this going to vanish in 5 to 10 years? Does AI impact this? Again, it might. The way I look at it is this. Let's say you're in some apocalypse scenario and you're like, oh, do I have survival skills? Do I have enough supplies? It's like you're in an apocalypse scenario. You probably have gigantic problems to worry about. So the way I see it is if SDE jobs disappear completely, like the world has something to worry about. Because if you can automate out these jobs, then you can probably automate out practically everything that these jobs touched. So at that point, I think like the world would be in panic mode. And I think at that point, it's legislation that would probably help people most. And unfortunately, I think that'll be pretty slow to happen. But yeah, I think if you are extremely worried about this, I think the path you would actually take would be, what is a job that would be immune to AI? And, maybe it's something like an electrician or a plumber. And if that doesn't sound like an appealing route to you, then I think it's like find a way to make software work and live within the ambiguity that we have. Because as mentioned, no one can predict the future. And think about it this way. Like, we used to have elevator operators, right? Imagine, I don't think you went to school to become an elevator operator, but imagine you did. Imagine there was a 4-year degree for it. And you had someone who was right on the precipice of these jobs not existing saying, hey, should I become an elevator operator? There'd probably be a million people saying like, yeah, that's good. There are jobs for that. And then turns out there weren't anymore. So yeah, unless you can predict the future for sure, then you won't know if the path you're taking is correct until you've taken it. What's your opinion on software as a service? This is such a broad question. Like, software as a service exists and can be profitable. Everything other than that, I think you need to ask a more specific question. So like, should you go into it? I don't know. Do you have a SaaS idea? Is it a bad thing to go into? I don't know exactly what you're getting at. We're in a fairly interesting spot internally at our company. We make custom ML and AI solutions for each customer and have for the past decade. Customers ask us for guidance and strategy around AI, and we try to give them reasonable answers depending on their organization and needs. But at the end of the day, we use very little AI internally, and all of our most competent and high-producing developers strictly do not use LLMs. Yeah. I feel like... Hang on one second. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry. My wife is traveling and I only get to see her here and there. And it's like, she's in India right now. So the time zone difference is like 12 hours. So right now it's pretty late for her. Well, it probably doesn't feel that way yet because I don't think she's acclimated. So I just want to say hi to her, but that's what that was. Hi, Adam on YouTube, Zoe from Twitch. Hey, Zoe. Wow, your name here is so much more, so much more complex than over on Twitch. It's mostly a lack of trust, I should add. Yeah, so what I think I was about to say is I think we're seeing a rise of casual AI use from practically everyone. And I mentioned this myself. I was traveling recently. We went to Boston and I saw a couple of, like, I don't know their exact ages, but they were younger than 20 years old. And I just glanced over their shoulders while they were using their laptop, and both people had ChatGPT open in 2 different scenarios. So one was at a library, one was on a train. And I just thought, man, like, what are the odds I just happen to be glancing at like the 1 out of 1,000 time that they're using AI. It's like they probably are using it pretty frequently. And I think it's kind of the same with developers. Like, even I'm using Copilot. I think Copilot must be pretty widespread. And it's like, sure, I'm not prompting a chat agent a whole lot. I'm just using auto completion stuff, and it's going pretty well. Hi, Grace, it's going nicely. Mostly I've just been talking. I've got an idea for what I need to do to fix this problem and haven't done it, and it's been 40 minutes. It's my name last name. No, I figured. Yeah. I should definitely write down, though, that this is you, because that, whoops. Ooh, hang on a second. Yeah. Let me add this here. Because on Twitch, I have a way of setting nicknames. Do I have any nicknames in chat? No, I don't. I use it pretty rarely, but there's a way of setting one. If I like click Craigans, for example, and click the edit here and, you know, wrote like Craig, then it would show up in chat. I'm not going to actually do that. But yeah, I don't think I have a way of doing that on YouTube. So yeah, I'll try to remember. Company I worked for has Copilot with agents for all the LLMs. It's a new Google, honestly. I was watching a video of a girl in university doing game dev stuff, and their professors even integrated it. Oh yeah, I definitely think, man, I think all of teaching is going to have to change. And I was reading an article about this recently about AI in classrooms and how you can't know if a student is using AI unless I tell you. But all these things that apparently claim to detect AI written text are not reliable. So they were saying, well, as a result of this, we should like test students face to face where you can just see they're not using a tool because you're in front of them and ask like, hey, how did you do this? Can you explain this to me? What if I were to do this or change the problem this way? I think that's pretty cool. I like that. I think that's, I mean, it's how people learned throughout history. You didn't have standardized exams, 1,000 years ago. Hear the new meta? What do you mean? For game dev, I'm a bit scared of it, especially the art and music side. I've talked about this before. I play the finals, and the finals has like fully AI announcer voices, and they use them extensively. So like these are people who would have needed to be voice actors in the past. And I only play in English, but I assume they use AI for the other languages too. So for English, you would have needed two voice actors. They have a man and a woman, well, male and female voices, I should say. They're all just computers. But that's for English. So now however many other languages they have, if it's whatever, 15 languages, it's like that would have been 30 voice actors who would have had a job that now don't. Now, I don't think they use it as much for the other assets in the game, but I don't know for sure. But I think we will start to see it creep into games, and I think there will be no pushing back necessarily, because it's at the end of the day, it's like, what are the costs of making a game already? They're pretty high. So any way that people can cut that down, they're probably going to. I thought about this one day. If you took something like McDonald's, they sell a hamburger for whatever it is now. I don't know. I haven't been to McDonald's in forever. Let's say like $3. If you had like an all automation version of McDonald's and people could get a hamburger for $2.50, I think they would go there. And I don't think they would care about any of the fallout of making this choice. I think they would just see like it's 50 cents cheaper. I'm going there. And part of what makes me think this is there's an airline in the US. I don't know if this flies outside of the US, but at least in the US called Spirit Airlines, and they charge for water. I didn't even know this is legal to do on an airplane. But yeah, like, and people still fly this. They charge for everything, right? It's not just water. They charge for, I don't know, storing your bag above your seat, or probably other things too, maybe boarding order or seat choice or something. So yeah, I think the same thing's gonna happen with game dev, and I think that both developers and consumers will typically just opt for what's cheapest and not care too much about what's ethical, maybe, because I think we've seen enough examples in other industries of that happening. All right, so if I turn this specifically into a drop zone, how would that change things? Item drop zone, that can't be correct. Chef's line, what is this supposed to be? Item drop zone. I was like, there's an I missing from that. Ask them to close their eyes. These tricks will stop working at some point. It's the typical arms race of any like attacker defender kind of scenario. And you see this with security a lot. Like, oh yeah, we'll put captchas in. Well, then captchas are defeated now, or you have people, humans, kind of farming out captchas to other people. So then captchas have to get more difficult. And then you run into the situation that happened to me the other day where I tried signing up for GitHub and I couldn't complete a captcha. So I guess I have to revoke my blood for circuits and wires. All right, I need these functions to be in the key grinder over here. So there's this and what else? Get closest drop location? Get closest drop location. Okay, yeah. Yeah, anyway, it was spooky to me. I eventually got through the captcha, but it took me a long time. But what was spooky to me is this is GitHub. Yeah, they probably assume certain things about their audience. They know that people are willing to put in the time to get through the captchas. But what happens if you've got like, I don't know, someone who's struggling with tech? You know, imagine like someone who's living on their own, who they're older, they don't really know what they're doing with a computer, and they just literally cannot sign up for an account on some site. Like, what do they do at that point? I mean, I guess at that point it's like ask someone else for help. But it's just a little scary to me that it's happening for regular websites. I mean, Twitter apparently is using the same kind of captchas. All right, so the item drop zone needs to be the clickable area. And in this case, this is not considered a drop zone. So I need to change this thing into a drop zone. Oh, but it's still going to have a clickable area. Okay, I should do something about that. Yeah, I should do something about that. We should change this. Turns out it wasn't half an hour task. Well, it is if I'm not babbling about stuff. All right, everyone. Taskmaster Kevin's on the job. We got to shut up and get things done. It says a collision shape 2D under it. Okay, so I need that. Actually, we just drag this up here, right? Yes, we do. Then we delete this. Okay. And whoops, just knocked a key off my keyboard. Okay. Chat is chatty today. No, and I've titled the stream that it's a hangout stream. I'm okay with this. I need to take it just a tiny bit easier anyway. I think there's going to be a lot going on in the next couple weeks. Let's just Control Z or Command Z all of this. Yeah. And I'll put this into item machine. Sure hope this doesn't cause any problems. All right, so these two functions. In here, we got to save this off. I'm guessing we do this for the chef slime. Drop zone, get set. And then there should be something that fetches this. Oh, you can just make it a private. Okay, yeah. All right, let's do that then. Let's just copy this and put this over here. There we go. And then save this thing off. And then there's one other function we need. Where did that file go? There. Get closest drop location. Now there's only one drop location, so I suspect this should be very easy. We just say this. Yeah. And that's that. So now when we try fetching all the item destinations, I wonder if this will just magically work. Let's just try it. Let's see what happens. No, don't ever worry about that. Plus, I have certainly said in the past, like, okay, this is not a productive conversation for me. Chat can continue to talk about it. I don't feel that way here. I'm taking it easy. Yeah, so there's a bug now. Where's the bug? Clickable area node. Oh, yeah. I forgot to do this. This is item machine clickable area. So this has mouse entered, mouse exited, left click. I think we just change this to use the item drop zone for all this stuff. item drop zone, and then just delete this. So we don't need that. We don't need this. Oh, Zoe, thanks for the resub. Happy half year. And yeah, Holtzy, I don't want anyone to worry about that. Look, I know at the core of it, there's always going to be this interactivity versus productivity thing in a game dev stream. And I've been in other people's game dev streams sometimes where they're just talking for like an hour and I think, oh, are you ever doing any dev here? I am mostly doing dev as of late. And yeah, this is like an intentionally chill day where I wanted to kind of see how this goes. The other thing I want to do at some point is maybe make some video scripts on stream. So something like a video titled, why I hate video games. I actually do want to make a video that is called something like this and just come up with all the points that I have. The thing I was talking about with genres and with, I don't know, novelty and a whole bunch of other stuff. And just see how does a stream like that go. But that'll be for another day. Now I'm hearing you double. Gotta mute one of those sites. All right, so this is now up. Did we fix this? Because if so, this is actually pretty close to half hour. No, okay, not automatically at least. So now I need to do something differently here. And I think it's that when we fetch all of the drop zones, we need to know that this is a drop zone. Get all item destinations. Yeah, how do we even know that something's a drop zone? Oh, I know how. Yeah, I know how. It's through player held item. There it is, right there. Okay, that's what we need to change, I think. Clicked item destination. Dad Walking, thank you too for the resub, and geez, it's tier 2 for 6 months in advance. That must have cost a pretty penny. I appreciate it. Man. All right, this is what we need to do right there. And I think it should be working. And then we can move to localization where I could probably talk and get the work done at the same time. At least the easy work. Just got reimbursed for some office equipment. I can spare a little bit. Thank you. I appreciate it. What's kind of nice about subbing for months in advance is that most streamers don't really remember that you did that. So like when you share the resubscribe message in a month, it'll just seem like you paid the money then. Although maybe I'll remember it now that I had this part of the conversation. Hey, nice. Look at that. It works. That wasn't too bad. It's not working over here now. So I've only fixed one piece of the puzzle. And I think it's because we don't have an on hover changed or like stopped. No, Zoe, thanks for gifting a sub too. Everyone's so generous. Gonna look like I'm a high rolling baller each month, yeah. Hover stopped. There's no hover stopped. Is there any other thing that I need here? Oh no, we were so close. What's wrong? Yeah, I don't see why this would fail. Yeah, we're seeing it like mostly work. Oh, now. Hold on. Is it because these things overlap? Oh, wait. Maybe it's because there are items there. Oh, maybe I'm just being a dummy. We should try to craft a scenario where workers just don't pick up items. How about that? Let's do that. Worker wander. Let's make them never pick up an item. So if true, that's not an or sign. Return. Yeah, there we go. Getting outside one zone doesn't trigger entering the other. I don't think that's the problem that's happening here, but I am aware that that could be the problem. But I think it's just that, well, maybe, I don't remember what state we were in, so let's just try. No, yeah, I think it is that problem here now. Because yeah, if we move directly onto the drop zone, this works. And then if I move from here over to here, this works. But yeah, moving out of here stops it from working. All right, well, let's save. And then how do we fix this? Oh, Joss, thank you too for the bits. I have a totally unrelated kind of dumb story to share. Our little bread fiend of a cat Today's a day where I was like, you know what, I'm gonna have a Danish with breakfast. So I got it out, I microwaved it, I put it on my plate, and the cat jumps up on our dining table to like sniff at my food usually, and then I'll like push her back, and it's fine. Even when I'm eating something she definitely wants. This time she did not like lightly sniff at. She just yoinked it right off my plate, and then it like fell on the chair and then fell on the floor, and then she's like nibbling at it. I had to vacuum everything up and clean it up, and I did not get to eat my Danish this morning, all because of our little dum dum of a cat. She just loves bread. Oh man. All right, so where are we doing this in here? Yeah, it's probably this. This is drop zone hover change. We get a new drop zone in here. Yeah, and everything does this. And this is called here from hover changed, which is called on mouse enter or exit. So it might not know that we're exiting. I guess we're not really fully exiting. So maybe we need to tell this thing that we've exited. Can you be hovering over two things at once? You probably can. Let's just print this out. Print mouse entered. And mouse exited. I'd also like to get the name of this thing. Maybe the parent name. Get parent.name. Yeah. What's going on there? Okay, let's try that. Would have done the same if I were a cat. Yeah, probably. I would have done the same too. You can give her her own. The thing is, I just fed her a can of cat food before that. And she's like, could I have more, please? One time she was sniffing, and the second she knew I was going to grab, she lunged it. Yeah. Yep. Something about bread. Bread and cats. Poor cat has to hunt for its own food. We only give her wet food. She's treated like a queen in our place. Okay, so we have a whole bunch of mouse entered, mouse exited. So here it is. It's entered in both of them. It has not exited out of the last one. Yeah, so that's our issue. Oh, man. Okay. Problem is that we enter the armor shop area and then the key grinder, but entering the key grinder doesn't make it leave the shop. So we can never re-enter the shop. Yeah, same dead walking. She's gotten very little dairy in her entire life. But yeah, one time we had like a tiny milk carton in the sink and she pulled it out of the sink. Got like a few drops of milk. So I wonder how we should fix this. Because mouse entered, this doesn't get consumed. Well, one thing we could do, option one would be tell the item drop zone that some other zone was entered so that this one can trigger its exit. Actually, that's not really what needs to happen. It's that this mouse entered needs to happen again. Mouse entered won't happen again though. Okay, so this is not gonna work. Option two, I guess, would be keep track in player held item of all drop zones that we've entered. It could be a stack so that we know which one should handle events since it's on the top of the stack. Yeah, I think it sounds like a pretty reasonable solution. Okay, let's go take a look at that. So instead of a hovered drop zone being a single thing, it would now be a stack. And when we exit one, we pop off the stack. Okay. So this is going to be a thing that points to drop zone stack. I'll call it something better in a bit. dot count is greater than 0, peak, otherwise null. Yeah, sure, whatever. This should probably just be 0. Does C# have a proper stack, or should I just use a list? C# stack data type data structure. Oh, there is one by default. Okay. Yeah, so private stack of that drop zone stack. Do we have to say new, or can we do that? We can probably do that. All right, so now is there a proper like peak? Yeah, there is. And now we just got to go change some other things. What is this? Element should begin with an uppercase letter. Sure. Then I probably need to move this somewhere else. Yeah, field should not follow a property. All right, something like that. And then make this read only. Many humans would go crazy for lots of things which aren't good for us. Yeah. And then read only should appear before non-read only. This is the stuff that Ryder would just do for me. Maybe I should give it a shot. All right, so now we got to keep track of what's on the stack. And that's what we do here. So if we're not hovering over it and the drop zone is the current one, set closest drop location. We need to know. I got to change this. So this should remove this thing from the stack, and it should always be in order. But is there a way that it wouldn't be? Stop hovering over that. I don't think this will work. At least not as a proper stack. So we have this scenario. You enter from the right, red goes on the stack. Then you enter this, blue goes on the stack. Then when you like move the mouse in one frame out of them, I don't know what order it's going to go in. Yeah, but anyway, let's just try popping off the stack. Just see what happens. Okay, so hover drop zone doesn't need to be set to null, and closest drop location doesn't need to be set to null. We just need to do something here where if the drop zone stack is empty, then the closest drop location is set to null. Yeah. All right, so now, if is hovered, and yeah, the drop zone is not null. I don't know how that could be true without that being the case. Then add this thing to the stack and set the closest drop location to this newest one, which is going to be the drop zone. I guess you can only pop here, so we only need to put this here. All right. Now what else? Input. This is when you move the mouse. Yeah, that's probably fine. Okay, let's try this. I should really take a break soon. Something's not working. Yeah, it's working with this drop zone, but when I move on to this one, it does stop highlighting the armor shot, but it does not highlight the key grinder. So something strange is happening there. Well, I'll need to debug that afterward. I'll write this down. Where I left off, hovering over the key grinder isn't highlighting it. Must be a stack problem. Well, probably a stack problem. All right, I will be back. For those who haven't seen this, it's a game that we play on the break where you try to jump to the top. Is it jump time? It's jump time. Everybody wins. Close the game. I still need to take my breaks, and the ads also need to run anyway, so I don't really mind if anyone joins or not. Okay, so where we left off is that we're not selecting the key grinder over here, which probably has something to do with this. So is hovered must be triggering for this, and then not is hovered. No, that shouldn't be happening. So it should just be this, that we're pushing some new thing. And then we get the closest drop location based on that. Yeah. Hovered drop zone. This is if you're holding an item. I don't see a problem with this, but there is a problem. So we need to figure out what's happening here. And it's probably going to come from this stuff. So I want to keep track of what we added here. Adding drop zone to stack. And then a drop zone itself, it's the parent that I want. So I want node drop zone get parent name. Now let's try that. Yeah, hard worker. Said I'm working way too fast for being a newbie. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. High praise. You're going to be head of the company before you know it. Okay, so what is going on here? We hover over this and it says added shops. And we hover over this and it says added buildings. Because the parent of the, I guess in this case, it's the entire thing. So we don't actually want the parent. We just want the name of this. Either way, it's clear what's happening, I think. So then we add this. We set the closest drop location to drop zone get closest location. That should be the key grinder. Hmm. All right, well, let's, I guess, validate it. So let's get the name here. Name equals this. And print the name. And then if name is equal to, I think it's key grinder. I am not totally sure. Then I just want to put a breakpoint here. Now you might ask, why not make a conditional breakpoint? There's all sorts of oddities with conditional breakpoints in VS Code. So this is just easier. Otherwise, it's going to give you more work. Yeah, I don't know. I think that in general, there are a couple different kinds of employers here. One that will reward you for doing good work or more work, and the other who will exploit that. And unless you know which employer you have, it's not super clear how you should proceed. Okay, nice. So it knows when you've hovered over this. So now we know that we're in the right scenario here. So what's going on with this? Is this null? No, it's a node. And this node should be, let's delete that and do name. Now turn it into a node. It's the key grinder. Okay, so we're setting the closest drop location to the key grinder. Then what? We might be updating it to something else. I guess that could happen. And I guess we should also keep track of this when we pop off the stack. But otherwise, I want to see where we use this. Stop holding item. Here, right here. Okay. Actually, I guess the breakpoint goes here and we put something for is closest. All right, now I hit play and it immediately calls into this. The closest drop location, again, should be the key grinder. It is. So we highlight it. is valid as false. Okay, that's news to me. Why is that? Valid destinations, all possible destinations that where this will accept the item. That shouldn't be a problem. Let's take a look at that. Closest drop location dot will accept item. That is a problem. What's the item? A pixie hat. What? Will accept item. Do we have... Oh, maybe we don't have space. Oh my god, we don't have space. This is what I was doing wrong. Oh boy. All right, this is a game problem I just didn't happen to realize. That's quite a shame. Because this is not actually a problem, I think. I don't have any slots open for keys, which is why I can't make new ones. We need to get rid of all these. And then when I hover over this, it should work fine. Yeah, now it's working fine. So we didn't actually have a bug. All right, this is great though. This logic looks like it's working. Yeah, nice. All right, cool. Hey, Goose, and thank you very much. Now we can just get rid of this stuff. How do you fix it? I missed it. I kept track of a stack of drop zones. And whenever we enter, we just push to the stack. And whenever we leave, we pop from the stack. And then we just look at the topmost item in the stack. So that way, what happens here is when you start dragging the mouse from this direction, red will be on the stack, and now blue will be on the stack, and now only red, and now nothing. And that way we can always just see what do we need to check for the closest item location or destination. So now we just got to go clean everything up. This should be pretty fast. So we had to move shops above buildings. I also didn't look and see if that breaks anything. I mean, this NPC looks like they're walking around just fine. Can I drag items here? Yes. Good. I can still click things. They can buy them correctly. Is there any ordering problem here? I don't see anything. I don't even think there can be an ordering problem because there's nothing else that even tries to get rendered here. The only thing is the key grinder, and that's looking fine. Okay, yeah, pretty decent. If the blue drop zone is not completely inside the red one, can you do this? Enter red, enter blue, exit blue through a side that doesn't go through red. Would that break it? Enter red, enter blue, exit blue. Hang on, so you're suggesting that we have something like this. So it'd be enter red, so we go through here. Then enter blue, so we go through here. Then exit blue through a side that doesn't go through red. I think you mean like this. So this is the path that we render through. Let me think of what would happen in this case. So red would be on the stack. Then we put green on the stack. Then we take... Well, we just take the top of the stack off, which would be green in this case. I think this would cause a problem. And I think the reason it would cause a problem is because I'm using a stack. And instead, we just need to keep track of a list and push things around the list. Or a queue. What am I looking for? Player held item. Yeah, but thankfully, we can just test this out by moving this probably. Key storage sign. How about this? Let's do visible collision shapes. And why can't I find the key storage sign? There it is. And then move this to the side a bit. I don't think you'd get the exit event from the red zone, would you? You should get the exit event from the red zone. The enter and exit events are happening no matter what, because they don't get consumed. Whereas like click events get consumed. Okay, so this is still not the right overlap. This orange area is the shop, so I need to push this thing even farther over. And by how much? Like 40 pixels maybe? There. Oh, in fact, that should have just updated it automatically, right? No, it did not. All right, that's fine. We can just restart it. There, perfect. Okay, so now we can test this out. So as we already learned, we need to get rid of all of these. Buy keys. And then since I don't want to keep doing that, let's save. Now I drag a hat over to here. It highlights. I put it over the red. It highlights that. And then it breaks. Yeah. So, yeah, I got to change this. So yeah, this won't be a stack anymore. Let's get this. Let's rename this to hovered drop zones. And then we'll always take the one in the first position. So when you hover over something, if it is, sorry, when you stop hovering over something, yeah, just remove it. So that's already fine. Why is this a problem? Possible null reference. If the drop zone is null, we can't do anything here. I don't know why this is potentially null. Why is it potentially null? Every single one of these cases probably looks exactly the same. Yeah, why is that? Parent. I don't know why this is a question mark. I think it's always passed in all the time. We apparently don't call it the same thing every time, though. All right, let's look at some other ones. Oh, wait, we do call it the same thing every time. Why can't I find this then? That's weird. Where'd that hovered go? Oh, man. All right, here. Oh, it's always an item drop zone. Oh my God, what am I doing? Okay. So yeah, I don't think this thing cannot have a parent, especially if we're casting it here. So just get rid of this, I guess. There. Now every single hover changed would call into a function that does not have a question mark for this. So we can get rid of this. Yeah, nice. Okay, so now if you've hovered over it, this is where the logic is going to be a little bit more difficult. So instead of pushing it, if it already exists, we need to bump it to the front. So I guess the way we can do that is just remove it no matter what, and then add it no matter what. And there might be some like add front, or maybe we need to add it and then move it. Is there an insert? Oh, there's an insert. Yeah. Insert index, comma, t. Yeah, so 0t. Okay. And that's it. That's all that should take, I think. Let's try it. Yeah, so thank you for asking this question, Kevin. In this particular case, I think the key grinder is fully inside the shop, but it might not be in the future. And if we nudge it by just enough pixels, we won't realize there's even a problem with this. So now we do this, we drag over to here, we drag back to here. Yeah, so now it's working no matter what. Yep, good. Yay. Nice. Is there any problem dragging down to the chef slime now? No. We don't do anything special with this thing as a destination, but yeah, we're fine. Okay. Let's go check everything in. So I want to keep track of the commit message as I'm looking through this because some stuff's not super obvious. So fix bug with key grinder. Yeah, so the key grinder was fully inside of the armor shop's item drop zone. The key grinder itself was not a drop zone until now and needed to be made into one. Also, in order, wait a second. Item picking shouldn't matter. We shouldn't have needed to do this. I think we can revert this and it's not a problem. I mean, I just moved shops from somewhere down there. I don't know where though, but I guess it just needs to be on the other side of building. So let's do that. If this doesn't cause any weird problems, then I don't think this had any bearing on the solution. But I'm not fully processing this myself, knowing that I can just do this and test it. Okay, so why did I think this had a bearing? Physics picking will pick one of these first. Oh, when you click, I think clicking will now have a problem. Yes, it will. Okay, so this was needed. Ooh, okay, good. Yeah, so we just got to put that back to where it was. So bump this up one. That did not work. That also did not work. What is going on? There we go. In order for physics picking to choose the key grinder, first we need it to be lower in the scene tree. Okay, so that's looking good. Position should not have changed. I don't actually care about that. Item machine now has a drop zone. Yeah, so we track every drop zone that we're hovering over. But the first element in this list is the one that we consider for when highlighting the closest item destination. I did move things in the world, but then I undid that because I saw it put a little asterisk and I hit Command Z a couple times. All right, that looks good. Is this public? No, it's not public. Nice. Yeah, nice. Everything looks pretty straightforward here. This shouldn't be checked in. Okay, so what does my commit message say? Key grinder was fully inside of the armor shop's item drop zone. Key grinder itself was not a drop zone until now. Yeah. Which meant you couldn't click an armor item on the key grinder to drop it there. It also wouldn't properly highlight the right item destination. I should say it the other way. It also would have highlighted the armor shop as the destination. Yeah, that's good. All right. Done. Okay, well, that took a little longer than I would have thought. No, Xyletics, thanks for the gifted subs. Hey, it got Darkstorm. So nice of you, Xyletics. You've staved off the AWS for a little while longer. Cheers. All right, so now we are on to localization again. Peer pressuring me for the new badge color. Oh, for gifted subs. Nice. All right, so where we leave off with this stuff. Many abilities like counterattack or improved holy link don't have translated descriptions. I'd like a way of finding this stuff quickly. Actually, I guess one way we can find it is with a $ quotation mark. Probably every single one of these needs to be changed. Or at least the ones in C# code. No, that's not true. This is fine. Also, this is technically shorter than writing 2 string. Yeah, it's definitely shorter. P0. But by how much? Only a bit. Yeah. It's whatever that is, like 7 characters or something. I don't really care too much about that. Yeah, so any format number calls, I guess I don't need to worry about. But something like, oh, even that I don't need to worry about. Okay, never mind. So much for this idea. Well, we could still look through them all. And this will help us find some of the ones that we did not translate. Like this is an exception. I don't think I care about that. This is fine. Yeah, this is probably a problem. Yeah, a lot of descriptions were not translated or localized here. So we have to go through all of those. Oh my goodness, there's so many. Wow. Oh boy. Well, yeah, I think we should probably do this. This is why I said it'll be a pretty chill day. Because this isn't going to be hard. I wonder how much of this we could just give to AI and have it do it correctly. Probably need to work on prompting it for that. Yeah. Any fun plans for tomorrow? I assume your wife is still out of the country. Yeah, she's still out of the country. I don't have any fun plans for tomorrow. I will probably actually just be streaming in the morning still. I was just going to treat it like a regular work day. And I'm fine with that, by the way. This is not like a cry for help or something. We did a couple of different Friendsgivings already. So we saw a bunch of friends. I couldn't easily see family unless I were to have made plans ahead of time. Okay, well, let's get started on this, huh? So string description equals translate. Actually, I want to format this. So I guess translate F. Yeah, and then I want this here. All right, context is going to be ability descriptions. Fuses your zombies, bites with venom, giving them a chance to poison the enemy. C, this should just be 0 for details, and then a note. 1. All right, and then this is going to be the formatted note. Poisonous skill name, skin name goes up there. Formatted note. Formatted note equals string.empty. And then put this here. All right, so in order for this to work, we need to do translate BB. Yeah. Okay. So this is going to look like this. No, wait, no, it's not. It's going to look like this. This is going to be 0. This is going to be that. This is why I like an AI to do this, because this is pretty mechanical, but it's frustrating. And then we need /ends here. And we just paste in the note. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so let's go take a look at that. That is venomous bite. Yeah. We need to visit some emotional support cats. No, I'm probably gonna just relax. Maybe I'll do some work in the afternoon, actually. I don't know. I do want to make more progress on Skeleseller. I'll probably play some games in the evening. All right, so venomous bite. Where is that? Here. All right, so I will take a picture and we'll zoom in. Infuses your zombies' bites with venom, giving them a chance to poison the enemy. See poisonous skin for damage details. Note, this takes bonus damage from lethality into account. So this looks fine. But there are two scenarios where this can show up. One is what we're seeing there, and the other is when you don't have lethality unlocked. Come on. I keep stealing the focus. There. So we just make a new game, unlock the Witch Doctor, and then level them up. There, perfect. Okay, looks good. And yeah, we just got to keep doing this a million times. I don't know how it would know the format that I want for something like this. Like let's try this really fast. Okay, so let's give it, what did I just modify? Venomous bite. Venomous bite. And I'll just make a new chat. All right, so I want that in my context, and I want this. So modify blessing of haste open mind.cs so that the description passed into form skill table is like that of bite, venomous bite. All right, let's see. It only has one piece of context. It somehow doesn't have the other file. This did not work. I don't think it got the context for this file, though. I don't know how that happened. Yeah, I thought it was already there. Oh, maybe it was there by default, and then when I added a new file, it didn't know. Yeah, might have been that. Okay, let's just try that again. It did modify the right file. It just didn't look at the file I told it to look at. Hey, JD. Happy Odin's Day. All right, so what did it do? This is terrible. This is horrendous. There's probably some amount of prompting I can get it to do what I want it to. Wait, hold on. This looks better than it was, actually. Let me see. I want to look at the diff here. Causes, format, skill name, blessing of haste, increase the healing your party receives for that. Yeah, and what is this thing trying to get me to do? Yeah, so it's trying to add in the note. There is no note. But format, skill name, and format seconds duration is all fine. So I guess we could just keep this like so. And then get rid of this. And this. And delete that. And then keep it. Can I just like save this now? Is that in the file? I think I need to click keep over here. Yeah. All right, how's that looking now? So causes this to increase the healing your party receives for a duration, ability descriptions. We pass in the name, the duration. Yeah, okay. I mean, it might save me a little bit of time, but I'm gonna have to do that quite a lot. So like, can it do this here? I don't need it to have that or this twice. I eventually want a generic prompt for this too. So the description passed into form skill table matches that of the other file that I have. Okay. We could also try different models. So this one is just increase the duration of your blessing of haste. it like it doesn't do this correctly. Yeah. Man. All right, what if I did try a different model here? Raptor Mini, what is that? Enable Raptor Mini. What is Raptor Mini? It's a Microsoft model? Raptor Mini model? GitHub's new Raptor Mini makes Copilot smarter and it's free. Huh. Reported issues with enabling it. Okay. Sure. Let's try it. Yeah, I'd like to just have a way of saying, hey, go change the entire code base for this stuff. But reviewing it is probably going to be only slightly less tedious than doing it myself. Because I still need to make sure that the phrasing is all exactly what I wanted it to be. So did this work? It's still trying to format it with a duration. I wanted to pull the exact string that was already... All right, let's just undo this. Let's maybe come up with a better prompt for this. Modify this file such that the call to form skill table doesn't pass in a hard-coded string. It should instead be passed to string.format translate. Yeah, how about this? Has been processed by that. I don't know. Just kind of trying things and see if this works. Hey, intern, get in there. All right, can it do this? Maybe I should tell it keep the exact text that it has already. The amount of time I'm going to spend on trying to get a prompt to work for this, though, is probably not going to save time. It's just saying use the highest duration value. Why is it saying that? It doesn't need to ever know about a duration. I think it's also still trying to use other files for context here, and I don't want those files to be there. Here, it looks like it's just using 1, but up here, it's using 4 or something. I think there's a way to get it to do this. Let's start a new chat. And let's try this again. So modify the call to form skill table so that the final argument is passed into string.format translate. As necessary. The should involve the exact string that is already in the file, but with 0 and 1 placeholders as needed. That might do a better job. And then if this doesn't work, I think we're just gonna just do this manually. Because yeah, I don't think this is really worth the amount of effort. Hey, it worked. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's exactly what I want. Keep. All right, so now can we repeat that? Can we do that for bursting horde, for example? Well, this one's actually pretty easy. We could just use translate and not need anything else. There are no parameters here. So that one's dead simple. I don't mind doing those on my own. But what about this one? So this prompt seemed like it's working pretty well. Let's paste that over here. And I'll just say, do the same thing with this file. Your senses heighten while affected by format skill name. Yeah, nice. Okay. You can't scroll this? How do I see? I want to see the rest of the text over here. There's no horizontal scroll bar. There's some little usability issues here that I'm kind of surprised that they have. Like, isn't that strange? You can't scroll the old diff? Huh. Okay. Well, anyway, I know what that was supposed to say. So yeah, let's keep this. Okay, and I just want to keep doing the same with all of these files pretty much. But I still want to test it one by one. So do the same thing with this file. You were able to maintain your cloak of shadows for longer. You are able to maintain your cloak of shadows for longer. Nice. Okay, so now let's have a try it on several files. So we'll close these. We'll open up. This one's already done. This, and this. Yeah. Do the same thing with these files. Now I want to add in all the files that we have open. So this one, counterattack and concussive blow. Yeah, it does that where it adds a current file already, so then it looks like I'm adding it again. I'm surprised they don't deduplicate this. All right, so how's that? When this misses, you gain a power bonus. Looks good. Let's keep that one. This one, using this decreases the power of the attacker's next attack. That's probably what it says, but I can't see it. Can I change? There's a way to change the diff setting, but we're not technically in a diff, I guess. All right, well, we can just close that, I suppose. Using this decreases the power of the attacker's next attack. Yep, looks good. Counterattack name. Yep, nice. And then the final one is this. Grants a format number, chance to counterattack for some amount of damage. And yeah, I do need to read what that says. All right. Other than this usability thing, this is actually working pretty well. But yeah, I have no way of reading that text now. I guess I can just shrink this. Yeah, damage :0. Perfect. Okay, keep that. All right. So yeah, let's keep doing that with all of these files, huh? This one is already done. So all of those are finished now. So there's that. Dog spirit is done. Empowered spell casting is needed. Execute. Expose weakness. Fatal strikes. Okay, let's do it for all 5 of these. Do the same thing with these files. X out of all of that. Can I just have it pick all the open editors? Open editors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, okay. Let's do it. Okay, so now I assume it's going to start saving me time. Like, yes, I was doing it pretty manually at first, and then I had to figure out the prompt. But now I'm going to run this on like probably 14 more files, and it's going to be faster than me writing it out. I wonder how many more of these we have, actually. Because this one is all the way down to fatal strikes. And we have 1, 2, these don't count. 3, 4, this doesn't count. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, we have at least like 10 more. Wait, let's look through each one. Improves execute such that you now kill enemies that have more health remaining. Yep, looks good. Casting Blessing of Haste also grants some amount of life steal for some duration. Life bonus P0 duration. Yeah, this is looking good. Every time you cast a spell, your power increases up to a maximum of some amount. Cool. This is great. Immediately execute enemies with less than some amount of life after dealing damage to them. Yep. Every X hits from Quick Strike, you can't scroll your editor. You expose your target's weakness, increasing damage you take from all sources for 2. That's probably correct. I'm going to just assume it is. It doesn't sound wrong. I want it to be the exact strings that I passed in before. And when I was doing this like more manually than now, it would sometimes change the string. But like I wrote all of those strings and I want them to stay the same. So we're going to do this for all of these now too. This one's going to be a little bit harder. I'd be impressed if it could do it for this. In fact, let's not even have it try for that one. Yeah, anywhere that we have a note, I should just write down on another list. Improved steady shooting. So skills with a note. So we don't want that. But we do want all these other ones. Oh, I had scrolled down the list. Fireball. That's fine. That. Yep. Cool. I think we already have these ones open now. Holy Link. Improved Holy Link. Grants attached to a chance to dodge enemies' attacks. This one I can just change myself. Just a translate call. Okay, I wanted to do it with all of these files now. Neat. Yeah, I imagine it's much harder to change every single string in a code base without using some sort of automation tool. And AI just happens to be a decent automation tool for this. So I think it's still running. This doesn't look like it actually changed anything. Well, it hasn't provided me the UI for keep or undo. Wait, what happened here? This was already done. What? Why did it? What? I think it got the wrong context, but that might have been my fault. Oh, when you press up, it goes to the last prompt, including the context. Oh, that's not what I expected. But again, that's not a problem with the AI. That's a problem with me not realizing how this tool works. Okay, there we go. Yeah. So how many is this? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. We have 13 files we've passed in. Okay, let's review each one. You generate more rays of light for holy light when taking damage. Looks good. Keep. Links you to your allies, causing some amount of damage you take to be transferred to you. The damage they take to be transferred to you. Cool, keep that. Improve Holy Link, transferring extra damage to you from your allies. Also increases your fortitude. Cool. Causes enemies hit by fireball to burn for extra damage over a certain amount of time. Looks good. Casting fireball has a greater chance to inspire mental swiftness. Cool. When casting heal on an ally, you also heal yourself based on the amount healed. Perfect. Casting heal will also regenerate that ally for additional health over a duration. Cool. Every time you take damage, you generate a ray of holy light. When it's some number of rays, you will heal you and your allies for some amount of health, prioritizing those closest to death. Damage taken through Holy Link generates less light than damage taken directly. Yeah, this is just a complex string for players. We might want to simplify that in the future. Blesses each ally healed by Holy Light, which reduces all damage taken. Each bolt of lightning zaps has a chance to strike again for half the damage. Cool. Increases the intensity, causing extra bolts to strike. Nice. Okay. Pretty good. All right, so now all of those are done. Oh, this one's a little bit complex. Okay, let's save this one for later too. I want to get ones that just match this pattern exactly. Skills with complexity. And then I can do these ones by hand, as long as it saves me some time. All right, how's this one look? Grants a chance when casting. Ooh, this is a lot. Okay, yeah. It's going to be a good one. This is not a problem. This is good. Good. This one I can just easily do. Translate. Oh, I was supposed to put in ability descriptions. Oh man, I messed up all the ones I... Oh man. No. This is why I should just use the AI for everything. Anywhere that I made that change myself, I messed it up. Let's go find those. They should be the very quick changes that I did. Yeah, like this. This should say ability descriptions. Any others? There might be like one or two other ones. This one just needs to be saved. There we go. Same thing with this. So far we're fine, 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 fine. Good, good. Yeah, here's another problem. Cool. Okay, unfortunately, now I gotta go open all those files again. No, this one's done. Increase damage dealt when you're healthier than your opponent. Cool. Good. Yeah, this is what we gotta do. What I don't know is how many other strings are lurking in the code base that I've got to find somehow. And that's where pseudo localization will help. But I still need to hunt them down. All right, this time we're going to do all the remaining ones in one go. Yeah. This we probably already did. Yeah, I already did this one. Good. Yep. Yep. So we're just getting the files that have descriptions that need to be formatted. And then we're going to run it through the same prompt as before. I'm just making sure I don't get any that have notes or anything special about them. Like this one was already done. Yeah. All right, now we have a bunch of format numbers. Anything else? Yeah, that's good enough for now. All right, so do the same thing, but with these files. Let's cut out all of these. There. Then one of the things I got to figure out is we have a whole bunch of constraints in the game, and constraints don't show up anymore. So do I translate them in case we put them back in the game? Do I remove them from the game? I'm going to have to think about that. While that's running, need to figure out what to do about constraints. They don't show up in the game, but we did code them all already. Oh, they might show up. We still have to make the last 10 difficulty levels of bone mode. So maybe they'll be present there. All right, well, let's start reviewing some of this. Yeah, grants a chance when... Okay, this is a very dense string. And casting these 4 skills to hasten the next usage of all these abilities by an amount. Yeah, I'd still love to see this in a better way. I can't hover over it even? No. Can I like change word wrap? It doesn't do anything. All right, well, yeah, let's keep it. All right, keep. Your zombies have poisonous skin, causing attacks to get poisoned for some amount of damage. What's that button? Toggle diff editor for chat edits. Oh my goodness. That's where they put that button? Okay, well, that's better. Yeah, that is much better. Okay, keep. Increase poison damage dealt by that. Looks good. Increase damage dealt by this when you're healthier than your target. Cool. Adds a chance for quick strike to critically hit the target for some amount of damage. 0.x. Yep, looks good. Keep. Oh, wait, there's an X in there. But that'll get translated, right? Yeah, probably. I should go back to that. Man. Well, let's do these first. I'll write this down. Crit has an X in it. I think that's in the translation file, though. If it is, then we're okay. Causes to be even faster. Looks good. Allows you to use this more rapidly. This is so much easier than what I was doing originally. Healing causes some amount to be dealt as damage. Overhealing converts an additional. It's the same number used twice. Is that correct? Yes, it is. Gives you a chance to use this an extra time. Cool. Cool. Yeah, no, this is great. This is really great. Yeah, this is a mess, but this is how it was originally too. Well, at less than that, decrease all damage taken by that. Yeah. Raise your shield while taunt is active. Cool. Raise your sword while taunt is active, increasing the chance to counterattack and also your overall power. You can hit one extra enemy. Okay. When wild shot hits, the target will take more damage for some number of seconds. That's in format seconds already. Looks good. When it misses, you attack faster. So if I can stack, but it's subject to diminishing returns. Cool. Yeah, nice. Made a bunch more changes. So where did we get to in the end there? This one. Can we even see the scroll bar? Yeah, it's pretty tiny though. So we still have a lot of stuff to get through. They won't all be like this though. Okay, let's go look at crit for a second. Yeah, this has the X in there. Because we wanted to bold this. But this needs to be translated if I do that. I'm not sure what I should do for this. We could just put like a bolded X in here. And that way a translator could change this. Or we could translate this. I think I like this one better for now. Let's just leave it like that for now. Yeah. I don't love it. I don't want to change it right now. All right, what is this? Power leveling. We'll have to come back to power leveling. I don't want to change that right now. This one's done. Formatted note. This is already finished. This needs to be done again. I'll come back to that. Translating the number only misses all the context. Yeah. Save this one off. Do I have anything else I need to do? This stuff already must be done. Yeah, it is. Well, now we're at the point where I want to call translate on these things. This one's still the same. This is different. Let's get rid of that. So I want all of these open. Yep, yep, yep. Okay, now what do we have here? This has a note. Fine. Farming extractor training. This also has a note. Now, all the ones with notes to go in a separate pass through this because it's got a little bit more complexity. This one's already done. Yeah, I did change some of these. Okay, that one's good. This one's already done. This is done. This has a note. This one's done. Item sales are worth more rounded up, but then it has a note. I guess most of these do. Well, we'll get to that pass. Might not even be hard to do. This one's finished. These are just exceptions. I don't care about these. What is this? Yeah, this is just an exception, basically. Battle simulation doesn't get shown to the user. Battle perk choice generator. These are exceptions. Challenge mode configuration is the one with complexity. These should be pretty quick for me to change myself. Maybe that's it for abilities. Yeah, I think then we just get into constraints and stuff, right? How is this still such a large document? Huh, okay, well, let's go change it for these. So I want to, whoops. Oh no. It pasted, I just want to copy the text. Do the same thing with these files. How do I get rid of this? Can you clear all the context? I want to get rid of all of these. I don't want to just click the X on all of them, though. Oh, well, whatever. Oh, maybe if you use open editors, no, it adds it. Come on, fine. There. There might have been a better way to do that. All right, so it's only got 4 files remaining. I expected to do a good job at this because they're not that much harder than the other ones that we had. And that'll delete all of those. And then I'll work my way through these strings. And some of this doesn't matter, like any of this. Enemy data, none of that needs to be translated. So we can just delete that from there. Same thing with debug draw screen, the cheats menu. This is an exception and a print. Yeah, I don't care about that. It's just an exception. Oh God. Hopefully I didn't mess anything up. All right. Your spell increases customer speed even further. Cool. Keep. Spell increases the chance to double items from battle. Spell increases worker and adventurer speed. And the final one, add a chance for a fish to glow in battle, increasing its value in wisdom sludge from some amount to some other amount. Cool. All right, that was pretty smooth. So we still have a lot to get through. This isn't needed. Actually, none of the release tool stuff is needed. Oh, an ad is running. All right, I should take a break. Is it jump time? It's jump time. What a battle. JD, you just needed one jump. That's it. Just like a J30 or something. All right, close the game. Oh man. All right, how do these look? Chance to dodge. So this also needs to be formatted. I guess we just do return translate F. 0 chance to dodge. And then what is it? It's like a battle perk. I think I just want to write, yeah, sure, battle perk descriptions. All right, and then we need to do using static Godot translation server. And we do this for all of these, right? Yeah, so fortitude. Oh, nice. It even knows what to change it to, and it probably knows how to make that change too. Nice. Okay, so this is still AI infused right now. This is haste. It knows. It probably knows this. Good. Love it. This is health. Yep. This is lifesteal. This one, it's not changing for me for some reason. Yeah. And then this one's power. Good. Can you using static it too? Yeah, I should be able to. Actually, I hadn't thought of that. Hmm. Yeah. And then format number wouldn't need to exist in base ability. But I would end up changing like 150 files if I do that. So one thing at a time, probably. All right, what is this? What is this? All right, I'll look at that in a bit. How about we run the game? Just global using everything. Well, really, not much can go wrong since it's only in a file. It's only if you have they're not even overloads, I guess. But like, what if we had format number and we had a float and then a different one that's an int, and this is in like module A, and the other one's in module B, and I think they're doing the same thing, but they're really not, and I never realize it. But I guess I need to, yeah. Anyway, it seems like an easy task for the LLM. Yeah, so that probably is easy, but the problem with it is that it seems like every file you have an AI modify takes a minimum of like 10 seconds. So I give it 150 files, and then I got to go review it after whatever that is, 50 minutes, I guess. Is that right? Why am I not able to divide? 300 is 5 minutes. So 25 minutes. So did the game run? Yeah. All right, I'm not going to test everything here. At some point, we got to go through and verify localization. But for now, we're going to use these 57 modified files. Actually, you know what would be a quick way of testing this? Let's try something. Let it run during lunch break. Well, I'm also not certain that it's like that important of a change to make at this point, but yeah, I could. Okay, so we unlock all the adventurers. We click grant most things, and we just hover over every ability. We don't even need to read them. But if there's a problem, it will print an exception to the console. So I just need to drag the mouse over another like 5 adventurers. Yeah. And this will let us know if there are any formatting problems. It will not let us know if the text is correct, but I try to validate them for each individual one. Okay, there. So any issues? No, good. Okay. Anything else here? Like, I don't think I want to read through all of this stuff. My goodness. Look at how many translate calls we're ending up with. Yeah, I'm just looking through at the shape of the code because we reviewed each individual thing, and I think they're all just translate calls for descriptions of stuff. Yeah. All right. Localize more of the code base. Anything that made it in here that shouldn't? No, that's it. All right, so now in terms of translate calls, we are up to like 800. Which means we have like 800 strings to translate. But that's not even all of them. There are still some more here that I see. And then possibly more. The search that got us here was $ quotation mark. And not all of these are things that need to be translated, but still a lot of them are. God, what a daunting list. All right, we don't need any of these things. Runtime validators and exception. I'd like to get rid of the stuff that definitely doesn't matter here. Yeah, now we seem to be left with mostly valid strings to be changed. Yeah, pretty much. What is this? An exception, an error, and a notification. The notification needs to be changed, but these other two don't. Yeah. Wow. This is quite daunting. Yeah, quite daunting. String extensions. Wait a second. Shouldn't I have deleted this? And even this? Shouldn't these be gone from the code base? Formats a string according to... Yeah, I don't think anything calls this in the code. Huh, interesting. Okay, I should look at that in a bit. Show those bricks who the boss is. Yeah, I need to. I18 functions, string extensions, and I think there's a Godot extensions thing here too. I think all these things can be deleted. Maybe we want to save a reference to those in deleted code.md. All right, yeah, let's go through it. Let's go through however much this is. Is there a way I can track the progress of this? Yeah, 580 lines. Can you show the line count in a search thing? Line count, line number? No, I don't think so, at least. Well, we can always copy paste it out. Okay, so we got 580 lines. Let's work until lunch and just get through as many of these as we can. 580 lines in the search results. Well, let's do it. All right, so this is a 2-string on skills battle perk, which I think we actually do use. And the only thing that needs to change here is the word level. I mean, we could just translate the whole string. Display name, level, level. But it's going to look like 0, level 1, which is not going to be super obvious what the context of this is. Yeah, let's do that. So text plus equal translate f 0, level 1. And what is this? I guess it's like battle perk descriptions. And then it's display name and level. And what is this inside of? Battle perk. What is battle perk? Just a C# class. Okay, so then we do need to use static Godot translation server. Yeah. Okay. All right, next. Damage dealt to attackers when hit. Oh, somehow I missed this one. This should say damage dealt to attackers when hit. Battle perk description. Numbers are the same. Yep. And then delete the power one. Use that. Cool. Okay, next up is this. What does this say? You have some number of perks for that adventurer already. Guild supply bonus. Plus health, plus power, or no bonuses yet. And the display name has a guild level of whatever. Higher description. Is that already translated? Nope. Oh, man. All right. We got to translate all adventurer data. All right. This is a localization thing. All adventurer data needs to be translated. We probably need functions for all of those strings. Oh, we're not doing that just yet. Let's just get through this list. So let's start with this one. That is... Oh, does it know how to change this? No, it doesn't. See, it changes the string here. If you don't tell it anything, it says up above, you have some number of perks for the whatever already. It does not say you have down here. Which, yeah, rather unfortunate. So you have perks for the one context. What even is this? Adventurer perk choice. Maybe we call this adventurer, like higher adventurer. Higher adventurer. They've already had the file name as context here, adventurer perk choice. We might not need an extra category for this. Yeah, let's just not have one, I think. Okay. And then the arguments here will be that and that, yeah. Okay, so that's the first part of this. Second part of this, we have what, 4 more strings, 3 more strings, something like that. So the guild supply level, these will be the bonus string. Guild supply bonus. If guild supply level is greater than 0, then we want to do that. 0 health, 1 power. This is good, except for these should be format delta, which apparently does not take in a thing. It takes in a number. Good. Otherwise, it's going to say no bonuses yet. Yeah. And I'm just deleting the category from these. And we're done with that. This actually looks nicer than what we had. And then finally, it's this. The display name has a guild level of whatever. Guild supply level, and then guild supply bonus. That string has to go there. Okay. So string guild supply text equals. Does it just know what to do? Yes, it does. Display name, format, guild supply bonus. Yeah, cool. Okay, knock these out. Battle perk choice. I don't think this needs to be localized at all. Nope. So we're done with that too. Building perk choice. You have some number of distinct perks for the building name already. Yeah, so just translate this. Translate F. That might actually have been correct. Now we need the arguments that used to be here. What are they? Building perk choice. Num perks chosen and building name. And it's actually formatting the number, which is pretty nice. It didn't do that before. And then context for translators, we'll just delete for this. And we'll go use translate. Okay, not too bad. What's this one? This requires the building name. All right, so this one's going to be translate BB. And this is going to say this requires the building name. This is not an ability note at this point, though. It's maybe I should call this like bone mode perks or something. All right, and this is building name. Yeah, distortion. Unfortunately, it's kind of boring stuff. But we have a lot to get through. What I don't like about this particular task, well, one, it's boring and tedious. Those are the things I don't like the most. But also, it's unclear how much progress I've made. We could enumerate all of the strings that need to change, but every time I find a category of strings, I just change them. So right now, I know I've got like 500 more lines to go through. But are there another 2,000 after that? Or are we practically done when we're finished with this? I don't know. And if I could know, then I'd be like, all right, let's just sit down. Let's estimate. Here's how long it's going to take 8 hours. So I know that I'm 8 hours away. But I suspect it is somehow longer than 8 hours. So now this is going to be dark red. Then we have the note. And this now goes down here. And there we have it. Cool. Okay. Adventurers regenerate their health at some of the normal rate. All right, so return, translate F. Does it know how to fill this in for me? Adventurers. Not going to do it, is it? Fine. Oh, there it goes. This one can have a thing. I guess we can call this, yeah, bone mode constraints. Name translate does not exist. Okay, is this the same text? Generate their health at this of their normal rate. Cool. Now what's the problem here? Just missing a parenthesis? No. What am I doing? Got a quotation mark? There we go. All right, one more done. This one should be simple. Translate. They're not necessarily bad constraints. This one's a good constraint, which means maybe we shouldn't have called them constraints. Yeah. But so have I done these for all of this? That one I have, and those are all the ones we did. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so same thing. This is just translate. Done. Done. Can it just make this change everywhere for me without me having to do this? Yes. Nice. Sure love not having to worry about that. All right, and these ones are all pretty straightforward because there are no parameters for them. Start with the enchanter and many related perks. Cool. Enemies in battle can dodge attacks. This currently doesn't show up in the game, but we might put that in later. Start with the farm and many related perks. I have the word jungle written somewhere, and I want to know if I should capitalize it. And it turns out I capitalized buildings here, so I should have capitalized jungle, and I did. So then I think we're fine. Start with fewer customers in your town. Start with fishing pond. Good. Fish are worth more or less sludge. So this is close to what I need. It's got to be formatted though. And the translate call itself needs to have that. And then translate needs to exist. All right, fish are worth this much less sludge. 1 minus multiplier. Yeah, I think it's good. Now, what did I mess up here? There. Okay, just to get a general idea, we are now down to 520 lines. So we're getting done with 60 lines in 12 minutes. This is 5 lines per minute. So we'd have another like 105 minutes if I were to go at the same pace, which I probably can't keep up. But yeah, that'd be like 2 more hours. The not knowing parts are always the worst. Well, the thing is, we could probably figure it out, but I don't think it would have helped too much because the way I look at it is there are equivalence classes of strings that we have. There are ones where it's just hello and we wrap it in a translate hello. Then there are ones where we had a parameter which was named, deals 5 damage, and we need to do like deals 5, change this to a 0, give it a category. Well, we should give everything a category, I guess. And then set this to whatever the damage was. And then there are other ones where it's like combine string 1 plus string 2 plus a word in the middle plus string 3, and we need to like convert the whole thing. And then names that we had hard coded that need to be turned into functions that return the names in case you change the language as you're playing. So there's quite a lot to that. Hey, nice, another fast one. Oh, did that work? Did it save that? It did, wow. Okay, so that one's done. Garbage slime gets hungry that much slower. Format that. Looks good. It's not complaining about translate now, which means it probably broke. How does it feel to be working on the same thing for 264 days? Remember, that's 264 stream days. The number of calendar days is roughly double that. And I actually don't mind working on projects for long amounts of time. I think there are natural ups and downs that happen. And I think we're past probably, hopefully, the roughest points in terms of me doubting the project. So now we just need people to play test it again. Oh God, did it search for this all again? No, it didn't save it. I mean, this is probably fine because we can just search for challenge constraint and then just go down to the bottom of this. Except for I deleted things afterward too, and that'll all be gone. So I think these things should be done. Yeah, this is done. All right, well, this messes with my line numbers. Yeah. Oh, well. What are you going to do? When did you doubt the project? So there were a lot of times. We used to make these checkpoints. So like checkpoint number 1 probably took a month or 2, and then checkpoint number 2 took another couple of months, and then eventually they started getting a little bit farther apart. But at each one of these, we would release a build that was very much unpolished and unfinished. So we'd give it to players and we'd say like, okay, recognize that this is still a very early alpha of the game, but what do you think? And a couple of things would happen. One is with each checkpoint, people generally said the game was getting more fun, but each checkpoint represented a ton of future work at the same time. So we'd release it and people would be like, okay, there's, bug A, B, and C. I actually want a new feature for this thing and this thing. And these were things people would mention that weren't already on my radar a lot of the time. So like we'd make a checkpoint and we'd have whatever, just battling in the game. And I'm like, okay, now we need to add the town. But then we also need to do all of this stuff that people wanted at the same time. And some of this stuff was like, it definitely made sense. A lot of the features or the bugs that people talked about. But yeah, it was just like, oh man, we already had a lot to do. Now we have even more to do. So that would lead me to believe like, man, the next checkpoint's gonna be even farther from now. We have to you just got to keep getting back on the horse pretty much. And it's a little tough to do that when the checkpoints didn't go great. Like maybe people would be like, well, it's not really like they generally, most people did generally say it was getting more fun. But sometimes they'd point out a problem where I'm like, oh yeah, what do we do about this? And a lot of these things, I think you're maybe watching some of the old VODs, but some of them were like adventurer skills originally. Yeah, the original case was we gave them all to you at once and had you put points in them. And there were only 4 skills in total. And the benefits were like marginal. And then we changed it to, I think we had like random skill unlocks. And then like the costs would go up across adventurers. And this confused people. I need to like redesign these systems. These weren't even technical problems. They were just game problems. And game design problems mean that you have to just sit in a document for a while coming up with like what's better and then eventually code it and then hope that it was better. Because if it wasn't, then you have to go back to the document and iterate on that. You maintain the docs from the very start or somewhere in the middle you realize it's getting out of hand. Let me write. I'm not sure what the second part of the question means, but I maintain them well enough for what we need for our purposes. So if you have a team of, let's say, 100 people, then you probably need some kind of like task management software. And it could be GitHub issues, it could be Jira, Trello, whatever, anything like that. But probably you need more than just communicating amongst the team. But when you have less than 5 people, you can generally just say like, okay, you work on that, and just try not to step on each other's toes. So having this document with just a million different to-do items in here, it's not that much of a detriment. And if you're going to write something somewhere, writing it in a document is as good as writing it in a notebook or a GitHub issue or anything else, especially if no one else is tackling it. So it's like, it had to be written down. We wrote it down. It's not super organized to the outside eye, but it's not too bad. Hey, Self-Solo. But yeah, at some point, just like how we're going through all these lines, we're going to go through all of these lines of the to-do list and just figure out what can we tackle? How do we do it? What did Google use as task management? There was an issue tracker that was used, which I think is pretty much the same issue tracker that Google has to the outside world. Google issue tracker. Yeah, this is what we used. So you can search for like, I don't know, Chrome bug or something. Chrome might use a different thing. Yeah. So this software that you see here where you can just click anything, this is exactly the same UI we had internally. And it's got everything you'd expect from an issue tracker. There's priority and history and permissions of viewing this stuff, components. Yeah, we use the same thing. And it was good. I didn't have any complaints about that. I don't generally have complaints about issue tracking, I guess. As long as the whole team's using it, I don't really care what the software is because they're all kind of doing the same thing and it's not super complex. Maybe every once in a while you get to like a bulk operation where you need to modify 100 bugs and then the software might do a better or worse job at it. But in general, having to write a description, attach pictures, put a severity or something, like all the software is going to do that. Customers appear every so often instead of that often. Translate using. That's still format minutes. Looking good. Adventures cost more. Yeah. Huh. Something's making me uneasy here and I forgot what it was. I think it's just that, yeah, the list grew again. Whatever. Hey, William. How you doing? Oh, right. It was the category, which I think is being added correctly. Yeah. Increase enemy stats by some multiplier. Good. This one should be pretty straightforward. Yep. Why is that red? Why did that even have UI there? What did I just change with this? I didn't have UI. I think I auto-completed with something poorly. Thank you for not getting annoyed with me and answering all the silly questions. Oh yeah. I don't mind if people are asking like good faith questions and they're not I don't know, like repeats of something I've heard a trillion times from the same person. It's like I get asked about my keyboard all the time, but it's from different people. So I don't mind answering when people ask that stuff. Anyway, take care. Good night, hard worker. Hey, who cares? Happy early Thanksgiving. Let's start with many extra workers in the garbage time perk. Yeah, it's not doing using static. I should just copy paste this at this point. Yeah. Items sell for less. Looks good. Items disappear from the ground faster. Put in a string.format call that we don't need. Kind of funny that it did that. I don't think it would have really made a difference. Get slightly less loot from battle. Yeah, it's still doing this. AAFH. Been a while since I watched you. Botland era. Your notes became much easier to scroll and use. Thank you for that. Yeah, welcome back. What was your name back then? Do you have another project lined up for after you finish this one? Yeah, I think so. It's another game. I'm not totally sure what it's going to be yet because I have a couple ideas. And I'm not really sharing the ideas yet. Feels weird now seeing you with the shirt on. Not seeing you with a shirt on. Oh, I mean, I have like a normal shirt. Adam Learned shirt on under this. Got my turkey defrosting since yesterday. Still missing one more ingredient. Had to drive it in the snow. Shouldn't be too hard to get. Well, it's not the snow that's actually going to be the hardest part of that. It's going to be fighting the swarms of people at the grocery store. As they all vie for the exact same thing that you need. The Mad Max of holiday shopping. Yeah, actually, I have no idea. Okay, well, welcome back nonetheless. Oh, you were back in... Oh, yeah, you said back in 2022 you think your name was Ark. But I don't recall an Ark anyway, so I guess that wouldn't have helped. People lose their minds during the holidays, yeah. Hang on 1 second. Okay, just checking. We're getting a delivery. I gotta go get that at lunchtime. Actually, I should make sure that I don't go too long. I think I'll take another break in like 15 minutes and I'll go grab that stuff. All right, so we got to translate this. Enemies do... Is this a... This is... I don't like this. Do 125% damage. I guess, yeah, I guess this is fine. This doesn't even really show in the game anyway. Okay, last question. Would you recommend Mac over Linux? I can handle both. Great. I don't think it matters. Unless you're building for Mac. If you're building for Mac or iPhone, then I recommend a Mac. But otherwise, it's what you prefer and can afford. The reason I bought a Mac Studio is because the hardware was impressive to me. I wanted something that was silent and powerful. And I bought this 3 years ago, I want to say. And back then, there weren't a lot of great choices on that front, I think. Mini PCs are popular enough now, and they're generally, I think, pretty good. Although they still do have fans that spin up. But yeah, the Mac Studio really impressed me. People want cilantro? You'd be surprised. They're going to be stepping on each other to get in. PC is loud and powerful, and I don't like the first one. Yeah, like my old computer that I had that I was developing Botland on, I think it was pretty powerful, but I could hear it the entire time. And it's like, I'm in this room for so long every day. I don't want to be hearing a fan the entire time. And if I were in a proper office setting and I had a noisy computer, I'd probably have noise canceling headphones on. But I think it's weird to stream with headphones on if I'm not listening to anything. I've done it a couple of times before when there's noise in real life, but I don't prefer it. Start with the treasure and many related perks. Okay, well, we're getting through these pretty quickly. This scenario hasn't been added yet. I want to wait for feedback. Okay, this one we don't need to translate. That's fine. Start with many, many customers. Noise canceling headphones for a PC fan is crazy. Well, all I'm saying is I wouldn't do it exactly like just for the fan. But if I had noise canceling headphones, I'd be surprised if I could still hear the fan. So if I were listening to music, which I don't do on stream, or if I were in an office setting, which I'm not in, but if I were, I'd have it probably just for any other noises that happen too. Get fewer seeds from the extractor. Cost increase divided by cost increase plus base value. Yeah. What is this? Bazite? Oh, huh. Interesting. Next generation of Linux gaming. Interesting. Yeah, I've never like mained Linux. I've always had it in a dual boot configuration, or it's like technically on my Steam Deck. But yeah, I've never used it as a daily driver. I don't really feel like I'm missing something out of my computer experience. Ooh, this much slower in town. Cool. All right, we're slowly getting through all the constraints here. We have, what, 3 more? Warehouse and all shops at max capacity. Treasure chests cost more. And start only with the perks you chose. What? Is this even used anywhere? I don't think this is used anywhere. It isn't. I'm deleting this. There. Hi, Sashamara. How you doing? Okay, we are making progress. So I'd love to know what we're down to now, but unfortunately we have all these extra things that worked their way back in here when I restarted VS Code. So like this stuff wouldn't be here. This wouldn't be here. And some other little things. Yeah, like this. I kind of want to delete them again. Game saved. That's fine. That's fine. Anything else? Oh my God. Yeah, no, there were tons of other things. Okay. Well, I want to delete at least the big ones here because I want to see how many lines we're down to, but it's not going to be a good estimate. I guess we get rid of all the tests and tooling stuff. All right, so how much is left? 429. All right. How about this? I'm going to take a break and then let's come back and get down to 350 by lunchtime. Generate a lecture and parser from a language grammar file. Got too complicated for even a 2 command language. Oh, man. That's too bad. I think it'd be cool to make a language someday, but I haven't ever done that. All right, I will be back in just a bit. Is it jump time? It's jump time. Hi again. Close the game. Hooray! You won. All right, so as mentioned, I want to get down to 350 lines here by lunchtime. So let's see. Where is this used, I wonder? I don't think you can press F12 on these things, can you? Oh, no. Okay, no, you can't. Sorry. It's not, not even gonna fix what I just said. Yeah, so I don't know where this shows up, and I don't know if it's anywhere, but I don't think it's anywhere. Yeah, I would say like rogue level 2. Let's just open the game and see. So if I click over here and then hire an adventurer, maybe? No, it doesn't show like that. Okay, I don't think this is needed. Yeah, I don't think we need to do anything there. Probably the same thing with any of these things. Yeah, I think we just delete the whole thing. Okay, now what's this? Modified damage amount. That one's fine. Where's that one? That's fine. Battler.name, that's fine. Yeah, nice. This is definitely not fine. Yeah, none of this is fine. East 12. We make J, L, R, and U already work. Then east and west. North for up. All right, no metal, we can clearly just translate. Yeah, translate no metal. Metals, I don't know. And then, no, that's not there. Using static Godot translation server. But metal ID dot toString we're gonna need to do later, so I will write that down. Metal ID dot toString. Probably none of these things matter. What is this? Yeah, no, I don't think any of this matters. Intro shop. Yeah, that doesn't matter either. All right, some item data. We do have translate calls for these already, but they include the note, and I don't want that there. Item. Didn't I write this down somewhere? Yeah. All item data has translate calls. They use notes directly. We're not going to do anything about that for now. Oh my goodness, what is this? Base, this. Oh man, let's do this one later. This is a complex one. Item data. And what is this? Get tooltip description. All right, we're kind of cheating to get down to 350 lines because we're almost there already. Because I'm just not doing the complex one yet. What do we have for this? Get quest backstory and items. This is fine. Items needed. We should probably write a specific thing for this. Then there's a space in a new line. I guess this can just be the items needed string. Items needed string. Or label. And then that. No, I don't want that. I just want this to be translated. Quests. Yeah. Good. And then sure, while we're at it, let's do this. All right, I think that one's fine. This one is not fine. Quest colon whatever. We don't ever use this, do we? No. All right, backstory of quest data. This I'm gonna write down over here. Quest data needs functions and translations. Why do only a couple of these show up? Oh, because we only use $signs for a couple of them. Interesting. Game save notification? Yeah, sure. We can translate that. TR. Oh, we don't have that. Translate. Game saved. There's an errors one. I don't have one for maybe like notifications. I don't think we do that though. No, we don't. Yeah. Okay, upgrade. Is this the only place we need to do this? For now, I guess so. So we'll say string upgrade button text tr upgrade buttons. And then the cost and the money symbol go in here. We could combine the two of them for now, but that's probably not a great idea. I'm not sure. I got to figure out how we're going to do that. And then we string.format this and do that. And then put this over here. Upgrade button text. Okay. Crypt message. I already translated this. Then what's this one? Plus mana bonus. And the word mana is in just plain English. Mana. Mana text equals tr mana. And this could go into a notification, kind of. Yeah. Okay, there we go. All right, that doesn't need to be changed. Mana text. That's probably fine. Mana guidance. All spells cost some amount of mana. And then mana, and the guidance. Okay. Mana guidance. All right, let's do tr this enchanter. All spells cost. Spell cost. Yeah. Okay, I think that looks good. And then this is the mana label, which we should maybe put into something like this. And then translate this. Zero, one, enchanter, mana crystal max. Yep. Yeah, this is very much a background noise kind of stream. It's background noise in my head. And I'm always kind of conflicted. If I have a bunch of grunt work to do I knock it out on stream? Do I save it for off stream? This is to keep myself on task. And this is to keep you from having to witness this. Background nose streams. I didn't say anything about smelling this. See, I think both have their pros and cons. All right, this looks like we're good now. Then we have title there. This has to be changed too. Mana cost, current. Okay, so string, mana, string. TR, mana cost, 0. Current, 1 divided by 2. Mana string, mana crystal. You know what I wonder? I changed the model over here to Raptor Mini, and it seems like even the auto suggestions got slightly better. I wonder if that's actually true that happened, or if I am just imagining it. Okay, now we don't have as much of a reason to do this @ symbol here. /n/n/n/n/n. There, now it all fits on one line. Any other thing that we have? No. Okay. I stand behind my statement. How do you do your code? Do you have a script everywhere, not in a few script? I'm not totally sure what you mean by that. But in general, I think you split things up by components or areas of your, in this case, a game. I mean, of your product or your app or your game. So, for example, maybe you're making a space shooter. You might have something like a spaceships folder, and inside is like Starship 1 and, you know, Enemy Destroyer 2 or something like that. And maybe you got some code for handling like the ship controller and some other things. And then you might have a whole bunch of UI stuff, in which case you have some buttons and you have a menu and you have a dialogue, and then you might have some tests, you might have other things. So you split things up just based on where it makes sense for you. Because in general, it doesn't really matter how you structure this for the computer. unless you're going to be splitting up your code and only delivering certain components at certain times, you could throw it all in one file if you want. You could throw it all in one folder if you want. You can make, yeah, a million files with as few lines of code as possible if you wanted to. It's all just how is it for the developer. And think about it when it comes to physical files. Like imagine if you had an encyclopedia or a set of encyclopedias. Like how would you expect to find that data? So now you're curious about whales all of a sudden. You're like, okay, well, I'd probably go to either some kind of like marine biology kind of encyclopedia, or maybe I'd go to like the W encyclopedia. You'd expect to filter down somehow though. And it's the same thing when you're writing your code. All right, so I think this is all done. And I think we're actually at our target now. Yeah. So at this point, we're just getting a little bit of extra stuff done in the morning stream. I probably shouldn't spend too long on this. So this on or off thing needs to be used here. TR on buttons. It's not really a button. I probably shouldn't do that. Yeah, it's more like on off state. And then this is when enabled. So let's do that. TR. When enabled, this will start all these current state on or off. And then string.format. That's pretty good. Now we just need a category for this. This is a tooltip. And again, no idea about pluralization of this. We pluralize it. Okay. None of these things are translated. So I'll just copy this here. End battle screen. All right, anything else? Time span I still haven't done. I hope I wrote this down somewhere. In fact, anything with time span colon is going to be a problem. Or even just time span dot from seconds. There are only 2 of them. I'll write that over here. Time span dot from seconds. How I format minutes and seconds needs to be updated. Anything else? Yeah, duration, DPS, health. Okay. We can... I was gonna say we can translate these things. I should. Yeah, I was about to drop the bricks. I need to be laying bricks. All right, so we have our formatted node here. Color equals light green. And then we just plug in the duration string, which is a time span. So our duration text is going to be something like this. And then string.format that with this. All right, how's that look? So duration, colon, color in like green, then the actual string. Yeah, we could just put all this right here. I guess we're going to do the same thing for this too. DPS. And then we do our color equals light green and put all that in. Yeah. And then finally remaining health. So string.format. TR is this. This is all going to be the 0 tag that we have. And this is light green and uses this. And does not need a percent sign. Okay. Now, why is this highlighted differently? Because of a dollar sign there. Okay, not too bad. Still a lot to get through. Man. Do we have anything to do here? I don't think so. I don't think we do for any of this stuff. All of these are just formatting words. Except for this and this. And probably that. Yeah. Yeah, that's my assumption there. So those are all fine. That's fine. This is not good. Format time HMS. Okay. And then bold string, sure. Those are just exceptions. Those are just exceptions. Actually, any validator we can get rid of. All right, so how many lines are we down to? 306. That's still a ton. Man. Well, we should save this file. Let's put it in temp. To-do list.txt. Actually, I don't know what you save this as to get it to save as search results. That apparently worked anyway. Is it because it's got syntax highlighting as search results? What's going on here? How do you even figure that out? Huh. Oh, search results. Yeah. Configured language. Where am I supposed to see that, though? I thought it was at the bottom somewhere, but I don't see it down there. Yeah. Oh well. Okay. So let's copy the path of this into this list. Oh, did I save it as .t or did I type that? To-do list .t. I did. Okay. Well, whatever. I didn't mean to. It doesn't matter. Yeah, so I think in the afternoon, I'm just going to work my way through this stuff. It is a lot of grunt work. And if I spend like 2 hours on this, we should be able to get through most of it. I'll probably be insane by the end of it. So let's just wrap up what I'm doing here. We'll build. We'll look through the diff quickly. We'll check in. We'll fill out the journal. Then I'll probably go get lunch. Yeah, so I built. I'm not going to validate anything else. And yeah, all this stuff. Man. So much that changed. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's, I already wrote that down that needs to change. Okay. Localize more of the game. So we only did 2 things this morning. Worked on localization and fixed the issue with the key grinder not being usable due to overlap with the armor shop. All right. Well, sorry everyone for the super boring stream. I think this afternoon stream is going to be more of the same. But it's 11:42. I'm going to go get lunch. I'll try to be back by about 1 p.m. And I want to, my goal is like get this list down to 0. If that happens quickly, then tackle more localization. So it's all still going to just be boring stuff. If you want a voice to keep you company in the afternoon, I can be that voice. If you want something interesting to watch, I cannot be that person for you. Oh, nice. See, that's why I saved this, because I just broke it. All right. Thank you for watching. I will see you later. Goodbye, everyone.